Hi there, in this video we'll cover how agentic AI can supercharge a supply chain process and make it self-healing. You're going to see how AgilePoint's AI Control Tower agents can be easily layered on top of an existing process to proactively handle exceptions. In this case, we can address spikes in demand, proactively handle shipping delays, and even orchestrate a recall and find backup stock when defective products are already in the fulfillment stage. So what we have here is our order to cash process, and before we go further, I'd like to point out that we don't need to bring in AI immediately, but when your organization is ready, AgilePoint makes layering in AI agents as straightforward as possible. So before we look at the exception scenarios, let's walk through the typical happy path flow, where the details of a new order will be entered, and that will start our process. From here, the total sales amount being under or over $1 million will determine whether finance and legal review or whether the process goes straight through to logistics. And then from there, things like shipping labels, order insurance, and collecting payment will conclude this process. Okay, so let's take a look at exception scenario 1. When this order is entered, we're going to notice that there's been a change in the typical demand pattern. So even though this sale amount is under $1 million, and we would typically flow through to the logistics team, we're going to see the typical processing paused. AgilePoint's AI Control Tower framework is going to recognize this increase in popularity and suggest a new step is dynamically inserted into the flow for the finance team, where they can vet the customer status, payment terms, and creditworthiness are in alignment with a product that's this popular. Now, once that exception has been handled, we're going to see the typical processing resume with a logistics team. Scenario 1 highlighted the control tower's ability to bring a human into the loop and surface a suggested change to handle an exception. In scenario 2, you're going to see a control tower take an autonomous decision. Now, in this case here, we're dealing with logistics, and a shipping label has already been created for my new delivery. But in the meantime, the products in that lot have been marked as defective. So here, our agent is going to automatically detect that and roll the process backwards to our logistics step, where I can create a new shipping label and even suggest the nearest warehouse location in the event this product is not available in my warehouse. Okay, so I've just moved into my order portal, and as you can see here, I have an AgilePoint landing page built with Page Builder and a variety of reporting widgets to help me understand order velocity as well as current status. So let's kick off a new instance. So now I have my responsive interface where I can input the details of a new order. Along the way, we're going to point out a few of the important fields that will be fed into our agents, things like VIP account status, payment terms, and of course the products in the order. Now notice here, down below, we have a total sales amount of $240,000, putting us under that $1 million threshold, which would typically route this order directly to the logistics team. So we've just launched a new instance of our process, and let's track it in real time. So here you're seeing the visual audit trail capabilities for this instance in the flow, with the green checks indicating steps in our process that have been already completed. So we've launched a new order for processing, and based on our process logic and the total sale amount, are now sitting with the shipping team. Now across the top, you'll notice that 2 of our 3 AI control towers have also already been invoked, which means if I go back into my task list, not only do I have the task for the shipping team, but I also have an order exception alert raised to an application owner. If you recall from the PowerPoint, when our first control tower is invoked and sees a spike in demand, it's going to pause the typical processing. So as a result, in opening up this task, I'm met with a message indicating an alert has been raised, that the typical processing has been paused until the finance team can complete their work. So let's go in and manage the exception. So in this scenario, a human is brought into the loop to review a suggested change to the process coming from our control tower. And as you can see here, the products are predicted to be in high demand with a high level of certainty. And the control tower is suggesting an ad hoc insertion of a new step into our flow. So I will accept this suggested change and assign the inserted task to myself and keep the lock on all of the downstream steps until that newly inserted step is completed. So what's happening now behind the scenes is AgilePoint's engine is inserting a new step into our flow, which means we're now deviating from the typical happy path processing. So when I refresh my task list, we're seeing here a newly inserted step for the finance team. And in scenarios where we're now deviating from the typical processing, AgilePoint provides an observability and explainability UI called the Adaptive Orchestration Monitor, which gives us a visual audit trail of the actual execution for this process. But bear in mind that this is also being recorded in AgilePoint's textual audit trail. So as we showed a moment back, the shipping detail step is paused and as a result shown in orange. And down below in blue is the newly inserted step for the finance team. Okay, so as a finance team member, I get a similar notification. These products are in high demand. This process was ad hoc rerouted to me by the control tower. So now as the finance user, I'll take an offline action to vet the customer and give my approval. And as you're seeing, this is a one-off case for a VIP customer. So with that, we can go back into our Adaptive Orchestration Monitor and refresh it. And what we'll see is that the typical processing has now resumed. Our newly inserted step has been completed, and shipping details showing in blue indicates this task is now available. Okay, so let's pick up with the logistics team. I'm going to autofill some details about this shipment. Notice that we have a very aggressive delivery time frame of 2 days, with the products coming from our Delaware warehouse. Now at this stage for Control Tower 2, I'd like to simulate a scenario where something has gone wrong with the product in this order. Now in my case, this order defect could have been reported elsewhere. I'm just using AgilePoint for simplicity's sake. But what this is going to do here when I report a defect with these products is it's going to raise an alert in SAP, which our final Control Tower agent will be listening for. So I've reported that these products in batch 35 are now defective. If we go back into our process tracker, what we're going to see is the process is going to move forward. Our agent will recognize that event taking place in SAP and actually direct the process backwards. So just a second back, you saw the workflow move from order insurance back to shipping details. So now if I were to open up this task, we're going to see the results of our second control tower. The products in this order have been marked as defective from the selected warehouse. The product is in stock at a nearby warehouse. So we can go ahead and update the warehouse location. And our process will move forward. Okay, so that's going to cover scenario 2. I hope this gives you a better understanding of how multiple AgilePoint AI Control Tower agents can work together to improve the execution of a supply chain process. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.